Hello everybody, welcome at the buyer's review of the Mercedes-Benz S-Class, internal code W140. This S-Class was nicknamed De Kathedraal, which means like cathedral, mainly because of its enormous size. Development on the car started in 1981, so 10 years before its introduction. Mercedes also took time to develop its V12 engine and high-performance braking system to be incorporated into the S600 top-of-the-line S-Class. The first prototypes were built in June of 1990. This car was built by Mercedes between 1991 and 1998, so this was its flagship car for the 90s. This car was the choice for government, captains of industry, dictators and the mob, of course. Basically all walks of life with lots of cash and influence. There was even a special model in the form of an S500 Landaulet. The W140 is another classic Mercedes designed by Bruno Sacco. More than 400,000 units were built in 8 years. Mostly the sedan, but there was also a coupe on sale. The W140 is regarded as one of the most iconic and technological advanced cars ever to be built. This car is now more than 20 years out of production. I think it's time to see if these claims are correct. So you're thinking of buying one or owning one? In 2019 and later, this is quite a challenge, I would say. I will try to guide you through the process of buying the car and what to look out for. First off, I would like you to know that these vehicles are quite complex. I will point out the most common reported issues with these cars. Next to them being complicated and complex, they are also more than 2 decades old right now. First, the question of price. What should you be willing to pay for such a car? Difficult question to answer. It depends on the quality of the car, really. Mileage is not the biggest problem. These cars were made for thousands of miles of German Autobahn. The engine is the most reliable part of these cars. What you need to check is what kind of bills the previous owner had, to get a good idea of its service history, especially when you're tempted to buy the V12 engine. Also keep in mind that these engines should be serviced by a specialist. Although these engines are very reliable, anything goes wrong on them, your car in most cases will be economically bankrupt. In other words, the prices of repair will exceed the value of the car. Let's move on to the attention points. The air conditioning on the pre-1995 models have an evaporator fail. The cause of this was a chemical reaction between dissimilar metals. The plumbing of the evaporator was incompatible. I heard you can have this evaporator changed or replaced by the evaporator of the E-Class W140. This problem mostly exists on pre-facelift models. Secondly, the fuel injection harness. This afflicts all Mercedes models from 95 until 98. Just keep in mind that the harness of the W140 isn't cheap, especially on the V12. Most 140s will have its harness replaced by an improved version. If not, use this issue as a discount for the car that you're buying. Third, these cars are quite heavy. So if the car surpassed more than 200,000 kilometers, check if the suspension needs any work. Again, service history is vital. See if the previous owner had the suspension replaced or fixed. If not, this is just another way to ask a discount. It's mostly the bushes in the suspension subframe that wear out, simply because of the sheer mass of the car. The bushes themselves are not expensive, but the time it takes to replace them is more of an issue, especially when you do it by a mechanic. The W140 was one of the first Mercedes cars to have self-closing doors and a trunk lid. Closing of the doors and the trunk is done by a computer-operated vacuum pump, which sits under the rear seat. If the pump breaks, this will cost quite some money. Fifth, the ECUs. These chips are now more than 20 years old and they don't have a history of unreliability. But if they break, there could be some performance issues or electrical issues. Check these chips, especially for people that want to buy the V12. The V12 has a total of 7 ECUs just for the engine, so you're warned. Sixth, the automatic transmissions. The automatic 5-speed is known to give some troubles in later models, mostly due to the fact there's no recommended oil change interval. These automatics are sealed for life, but in practice it is recommended to flush out these automatics every 100,000 kilometers and change the oil every 60,000 kilometers. Then the last thing, the electronic windows motor fails with age. The double glazed windows are very heavy and the motors work very hard moving them up and down. So are you still thinking to buy a W140 or are you scared away? If you are afraid of the V12 in terms of cost, you should go for the V8. These engines prove to be very reliable, but only under the condition that the oil changes have been done every service interval. The 6 cylinders are considered underpowered for this beast. Also the V6 engines have been plagued by head gasket failures. Strong points of this car is seriously over-engineered. It has a very strong road presence. This is the ultimate interstate or autobahn cruiser, perfect for going east to west in the States and from north to south in Europe. Just bring enough cash for petrol or diesel. In many regards, this car still drives better than most modern cars. Let's throw in a few more points. Mileage is not a big issue. It is better to buy a car that was used for longer highway commutes than a car that spent most of its time inside the big city. Again, service history is important. Also, do not buy this car when you're on a budget. It's not an unreliable car, but when something breaks, you will be spending a premium price as well. When buying such a car, have a Mercedes specialist check it first for proper inspection. This car is a potential money pit, but it can also still serve you for many years to come. Thank you for watching this buyer's review of the W140. If you like this review, please like and subscribe to my channel. See you guys in the next video.